Welcome back to another 5-minute deck tech where the texts are 5 minutes and the gameplay is much longer. We are going to talk about Ashiok, Nightmare Muse, the new Planeswalker version of Ashiok in Brawl. A little bit of control, a little bit of usurpation, a little bit of usurpation? That's a really good word. Let's get into a little blue-black control, why don't we? The video starts right now. Special thanks to our Patreon supporters who power our channel. Check out our Patreon for monthly giveaways, exclusive content, and even a starring role in our fan fight series. Link in the description below. Hello and welcome to the day. Thank you for spending your time with us. Welcome back to another episode of Jake and Joel Are Magic. I am Joel. We are going to talk about Ashiok, Nightmare Muse in Brawl today. But first, if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button down there, it really helps us out. And I want to let you know that we've still got a very cool giveaway over on Patreon right now. Free t-shirt for signing up at any level. We've got 2 of these left depending on when you're watching it, so make sure you head over to Patreon and check that out. Let's jump into Ashiok Nightmare Muse. This is the version of the deck that I am currently running. I'm going to walk you through some key interactions and then we're going to jump over to some gameplay. Augur of Golos, down here in my 2-drop slot, we've got Augur of Golos digging. Vantress Gargoyle I find is a good defender early and attacker late. Counterspell for big stuff, removal, a little library fixing, a negate, an Arcane Signet, and a Tyrant Scorn. I really like Arcane Signet in this deck. It gives these colors the ability to get to Nightmare Muse faster. I've had a lot of people concede immediately when I drop Nightmare Muse on turn 4 because it's really tough to come back from. Let's talk about Ashiok before we move on any further. Protects itself with a +1, creates a 2/3 attacker or a blocker, and -3 sends something packing in, then they have to get rid of a card. The value on this is so good. We run Flux Channeler because we have a Planeswalker as our general, and we also have a lot of Planeswalkers in the deck. Brazen Borrower is a house. Woe Strider lets us fix, and it can come back. Removal plus a lifelink creature. Thief of Sanity is a house when it doesn't get removed. Here's a Planeswalker that can create a huge flyer and keep something off of our backs. Narset's going to dig for cards. Davriel's going to take cards from their hand. Creature removal, and Ashiok might as well run a different version of our Planeswalker because it's going to cut off some key interactions in some other decks, namely Golos, which is running pretty wild on the brawls right now. Dungeon Geist is a personal pet card of mine, but it's pseudo removal plus a 3/3 flyer. God Eternal Kefnet house has won me games. Sphinx of Foresight, solid. Find it in your opening hand, great. If not, you're still scrying at your upkeep and you get a 4/4 flyer. Here's another 4/4 flyer that you can get better value off of if you hurt something early. Atris is going to give you card value. Etrata is going to, if it can get through, start exiling target creatures that player controls when it hits. Drawing cards, Kasmina, kind of the same thing, filtering through cards but putting bodies on the battlefield, exiling something that's indestructible. Ritual of Soot, we don't play a ton of 3 CMC creatures, so this can really help us out. Fairy Formation is going to draw cards late and provide another flyer. You'll see we have a flying sub-theme in this deck. Cavalier of Gales, hand fixing and flying. Massacre Girls, board wipe on a stick. Enter the God Eternals just because of that 8-point life swing and it leaves you with a 4/4 behind. Connive because it steals something early or brings something back late. Liliana Dreadhorde General is an absolute house, and Kiora Best the God can seal a game for you. That's the deck. Those are all of the cards that I've been running lately, and for Pimp Factor, we've got the Ashiok sleeve. You know we gotta have it. Let's jump into some gameplay and you can see how it works. I've got 2 matchups I want to show you. In the first one, we play a Monoblack deck, and in the second one, we play against Golos. So we look at this hand. We've got a Sphinx of Foresight in the opening hand, so we do go ahead and keep it because we can do exactly what we're doing right here, which is prioritize lands to the top. We wake up with a Fabled Passage. We really need that second swamp so we don't keep both islands on top. We want to dig down further so we can do exactly what we just did, which is find a second black mana. Now we're rocking and rolling. We can play 2 powerful creatures out of our hand. We only really need 1 more land, and we can play Ashiok. We have the Murder, and so we stayed back for that, but they're trying to duress us here, so we can respond, kill the Ayara, and go from there. We're playing against Rankle, Master of Pranks. I'm not sure if I already said that we were playing against Ayara or not. We're playing against a mono black Rankle deck. So they are making us discard. They are absolutely going after our hand early, but we've gotten rid of the stuff that we need to get rid of so that on turn 4, we can drop a God Eternal Kefnet. This card is so strong. Every time you draw something, you can reveal it if it's an instant or sorcery and cast it for cheaper. Or you can just have this 4/5 beater in the air that just keeps coming back, And with Ashiok dropping, we create a token and just swing in with our God Eternal. You know, who cares? They've got the Tome of Legends rocking, and we've got a Dread Presence. Obviously, we're going to be blocking with our Nightmare here. They still need to swing to kill the Nightmare, even though it can't finish off that. And we see an Erebos Bleak-Hearted. We create another Protector. You know, we're sitting pretty right now. We've got a God Eternals. We can use that to kill the Dread Presence across the battlefield. We've also got Murderous Rider. We're not too worried. You know, our opponent has 2 cards in hand plus a Rankle. If they choose to play Rankle at any point like they're doing right now, we've got protection against it. And so we're sitting pretty with a nice control-y hand. We're going to get rid of their commander. They potentially can play it again next turn, especially if they're drawing cards off of Tome of Legends. Tome of Legends does really well in this deck because their commander has haste. That's huge. For Madomize Prophecy, we're going to choose to enter the God Eternals and we can play it next turn. We can Murderous Rider here, just kind of build up our board, keep swinging in with our 4/5. You know, we're not protected against another Rankle here, unfortunately, and so we are going to have to deal with that if that hits. But also, Cry of the Carnarium, kind of a dead card in our hand. If you are looking for cuts, maybe that one. Also, the Augur of Bolas, you know, sometimes misses. That's a place where you could do a little improvising. That Finale of Eternity hurts there because it hits. It's a nice little 2-for-1 for them. But we can God Eternals here. We're going to get to draw our cards, which is excellent. Get caught back up to where their hand is, and we put another 4 power on the battlefield along with our Ashiok's token and our God Eternal. At this point, you know, this is where we really want Augur to hit, and it hits an Extinction. That is so clutch. Right after I say cut Augur Bolas, it performs so well for us. Here we're ready to pitch the Cry very quickly. We're not really worried about it. We're pretty sure we've got this. I mean, Ashiok can return permanents, return creatures to the hand if we need to, and so that it looks like really all we need to do is return target non-land permanent to their hand, and our board gets to swing through and we win. So next up I want to show you a matchup against a Golos deck. I am of the opinion that Golos needs to be banned from Arena Brawl. I don't think that it's a fun commander to play against. I think that it's far too consistent. I think that it is just, you know, head and shoulders above most of the field. Pun, Field of the Dead, and so it needs to be removed from the meta so that we can get a little more variation in the Brawl meta. It really requires that you go under it super quick and take it down before it can get established, because most of the time once it's established, the inevitability of it's ridiculous. That's my petition for banning Golos. Let's look at the game we got going here. Lands have hit the battlefield. They played a Renowned Weaponsmith, I guess, to activate the Golos later, so we just went ahead and dealt with it. We're just trying to keep them off the board and keep them from doing stuff, and try to go as quickly as we can with a blue-black control deck. You see the Merfolk Secret Keeper there. I actually cut that card right before I shot this deck tech. I did the gameplay with it in the main board when it had more of a mill strategy to it, and exile strategy with the Ashioks. But I decided that wasn't a way to go, and it was kind of a dead card a lot of times, and so we ended up cutting it and replacing it with something better. The deck list that we've already looked at is the deck list for the deck. So we get Ashiok. We're just, we don't really know what we're doing. Golos return to the battle. I mean, returning it to their hand at the very least keeps them off the activation next turn, because that activation is pretty brutal. We're just trying to get damage, whatever we can damage through, you know. Golos hits again here. They go get another land and put it on the battlefield. It's Command Tower. They're creating zombies, you know. I mean, and we're on turn 5, 6, something like that. We do get the Eat to Extinction with the God Eternal Captain on the battlefield, so that's a nice little perk there. We definitely don't need the land. We need stuff. We need to do stuff. We need to keep Golos off the battlefield. So we do cast the Eat to Extinction for 2 less on the Golos, and then pass. You know, we can stay. We could have stayed open with Murderous Rider, but we had to tap for the Eat to Extinction. They're playing that creatures can't be countered, enchantments can't be countered. That's fine. They can also wake up lands. And then we see Thassa. Okay, right now, Thassa's not that huge of a problem, but just because, you know, we need to keep that one in the back of our mind because we're not interested in dealing with any shenanigans of that. However, if they play anything that's shenanigans, we can stay open with Eat to Extinction and eat it then. We can save it until we absolutely need it. We're going to pump in for another 4, try and get some damage on the board here. You know, we've got to go as quickly as possible. There's no real staying back and waiting because the inevitability of their deck is going to beat our deck, most likely. So we're wondering here, is it going to be Golos again? They've got the mana. Is it going to be something that blinks really well with Thassa? You know, Ashiok's just going to be creating tokens, and so they play Agent of Treachery. Hooray! Agent of Treachery is going to steal our Planeswalker, and in a desperate attempt to keep our Planeswalker in our command zone, we Murderous Rider our own Ashiok. Yes, that is the strength and the maximum high voltage of plays you will see out of old Joel from Jake and Joel. We just don't want him to steal it. So at this point, we're going, well, now the Agent of Treachery is going to bounce again. We're not really sure what to do. Maybe Eat to Extinction. Regardless, we prioritized saving our commander's life over the future, and that probably was a bad move. What we needed to do there was most likely Eat to Extinction on the Thassa, or Murderous Rider, the Agent of Treachery. They get 1 theft target off of it, and we're out of the woods, But what ended up happening is they steal the God Eternal. That turns Thassa into a creature. We get rid of Thassa, turn too late. We do have the Brazen Borrower, though, so we can get tricky just like they can get tricky. We're not dead. We're still in this. And then we see a Thorn Mammoth hit. Okay, cool. So Thorn Mammoth, every time they play a creature, is going to be allowed to fight now, which is super, super pleasant to deal with. We're looking at our cards and going, yeah, we don't really have an answer for the Thorn Mammoth. And that's probably going to be the game. We can create 2/3s until we're black and blue in the face. Yeah. But we're not going to be able to do anything against that fighting creature, especially because as zombies come into the battlefield, I believe that triggers Thorn Mammoth. And at that point, it's just degenerate. That is just an elephant machine gun that is going to end the lives of all of the creatures that we have in play. You didn't know when you started watching this video that you were going to hear the phrase elephant machine gun, did you? Bet you weren't prepared for that. At that point, we just start getting absolutely rickrolled. We get casualties of ward, so they do get a sweet little 3-for-1. The Mammoth has trample, so, it doesn't really matter at this point. Mu Yanling is going to just reduce it to a 4/6 instead of a 6/6. We can give it a shot. Can't create a bird out of the gate, but we can lower the power of the Mammoth, and we do have a 0/4, so that's kind of nice. And then Spark Double comes in. I wonder what they're going to copy. Oh, Agent of Treachery. And that's when we go to concede phase, just because at that point, it's like they stole the Mu Yanling. Yeah, there's not much we can do. They've now wiped our entire board. Golos for the win. I'm telling you, it needs something banned. I'm thinking that it just needs to be banned itself, and that'll finish that whole problem off. We try to be kind, we try to see what we draw, but we do lose. So with this deck, games do tend to go a little bit long. However, I find that they can be rewarding. You've got a lot of ways to keep your hand full for a long-term game. You've got a lot of back and forth with other control decks. You can create protectors for your own Planeswalker. That's really my favorite thing about having a Planeswalker that can create a body just to start blocking right out of the gate. I really appreciate everybody watching. If you wouldn't mind, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. Make sure you go check out Patreon and see if there's a giveaway running. We are running giveaways monthly over there, so make sure you're signed up at the middle tier or above. And if you want to hang out with us, we are streaming most Tuesday and Thursday evenings over on Twitch. I'm tapped out. Let me know what you're playing in Brawl. Catch you later.